stuff that's been playing on their mind that could affect their sleep. And they're going to bed a lot happier because they're thinking about things that have made them happy and that they're grateful for. And again, in the morning as well, things that they're looking forward to, and, you know, reassuring them, but just giving them that space, I think, to talk and not feel that as adults in general, you know, parents, caregivers, that we have to fix things, because things can't always be fixed. I mean, I'm sure many of the people watching have had a time where there's a situation and nothing's going to make any difference, but you just need to have a rant about it and just have someone listen. You don't want to hear anything back, really. You just want someone to listen. And I think that's what our children need. We don't need to feel like we need to fix things for them. We just need to be there, you know, and just be there and let them know that you know, we're connected and they can talk to us about anything, and we will always listen without judgment. And I think that's the key thing.
And one of the things that I really like that you said is that even if we can't fix them, because there's a lot of things right now that there's no way that we can fix any of it. And so there's a lot of things that are beyond our control. And so being able to know that the kids can, and like you said, just having somebody that can listen and that will listen without judgment and being there and supportive is huge and is key, because that is extremely important. And so what is it that, so I just added your contact information so that people can send you a message if they want to be able to reach out to you. But in the, I can't even think of what word I was going to think. my word just escaped me. And so, so is there anything else that that you're offering right now that might be helpful for people with what it is that's going on and how to be able to work with? So obviously people can work with you specifically, but is there anything in specifically at this point that you're offering that might be effective or helpful for people?
Well, I have my, you know, my program, my one-to-one program, which again at the moment is virtual, so that won't appeal to anybody. I do have a free Facebook group where I go on and I ask people if they have questions at that time. And I am going to be running, because one thing that has also increased, unfortunately, is sort of self-harm in children. So I am going to be running a free masterclass based on self-harm, eating disorders and school refusal. So that's going to be hopefully the beginning of February. So if anyone is interested in coming along to that, I'm still doing the sign up, so I will get that sorted. But yeah, it's one of those
inside your Facebook group, then they'll be able to have access to that as well, like be able to know about it.
Yes. Yeah. And it will be on my profile as well. So
perfect.
Yeah, it's just something that has come up time and time again, and children as young as sort of 8 or 9 are hurting themselves as it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are one of the things that are extremely difficult for parents to cope with. And it's like, what are they doing? Why are they doing it? Right. So like those kinds of things, and not knowing what it is to do. So like, do you work with the parents or do you work with the children?
I work with the children, but the parents, I do have, there is space for the parents to talk to me, and we, have catch-ups, but primarily I work with the children to try and get them to learn how to sort of regulate their emotions and use the tools that we have to work out what choice to make and to work on negative thoughts and stuff. It just and it also allows them that little bit of space, especially because of being shut in like the same house as family. It sort of gives them that little bit of an escape. They've got someone outside that they can talk to, and I'm on hand. The program obviously runs for a certain number of weeks, but I'm away. Once you work with me or contact me, I'm generally there whenever you need me. So
the other thing that I've added is your Facebook group. So for the link specifically for your Facebook group, because I think that it's extremely important for us to have that that connection. I think that it's important for us to be able to have those those approaches of being able to deal with children. And so I have so here locally, I have a kids program that I've continued to do in person because I've been allowed to. Even when we do get shut down, I'm allowed to have five people at a time. And so I've been able to continue on with the kids programming. And so even within the kids programming, like those are still some of the things that the kids are seeing, like that we're seeing with the kids, that they're still struggling with those types of behaviors or types of circumstances. And so they're struggling with the things that are actually going on, and being able to have, like you said, being able to teach them different ways of being able to cope. And so it was really interesting. I had a child recently who was really struggling with the situation or certain circumstances that were going on. And one of the other children commented on how it's like, okay, but that kid wasn't doing what it is that they needed to be doing. And Rollie wasn't doing anything. And it was that taking away, right? So like overstimulating is not going to help. And that's just going to escalate the situation. Being able to address the situation afterwards, one-to-one, not in the group setting, but the children don't know, right? So like, they're like, all they can see is like, this kid is not listening, not doing the things that they need to. They were still in a safe environment. They were still doing all the same things. So if, as an adult, I knew all the things that I needed to be doing from that end, and they were still safe, and they still had the different, like I knew where they were and what was going on. And so, but like, it's even when we're actually talking about it, like the kids are like, they're knowing the different things that are happening and struggling with like what is like that's going on. And I've been doing this program for a while. And so when things like that have happened, kids are not necessarily going in and questioning what it is that's going on, but they are so questioning everything right now because of all the things that they've had to do. Like, well, they're not doing, right? So like, there's all these things that the kids are noticing that are happening. And so, and that would be happening within our own families as well, right? So like they're you're trying to handle things differently with one child to the next. And like you said, in your case, you have 3 children, and the parents who have more than one child are doing the same thing. And so just making sure that you're staying calm, staying patient, and I think is probably one of the biggest, one of the most important strategies that parents can actually use with the circumstances that are actually going on.
Yeah, and it is hard, and I don't want any parents to feel like they're not doing. Everyone is doing the best with what they have, and all parents lose their temper, and it's we're all human, but it's just especially if they're still doing online learning where you are. One thing that was really upsetting over here is I'd have parents sort of saying, well, we're both sitting here crying trying to get the English work done, and I'm like, don't do it. And they're like, but what do you mean? I'm like, it is not work. You're the connection between you and your child is so much more important, and it's a little bit of a controversy, but it's, in my opinion, it's so much more important than an English assignment. Don't end up in tears with your child because they won't do a piece of work. Just write it off and then come back to it at another time, because the more you push, the more you're pushing a gap between you and your child. And that's the one thing that you don't want to do under any circumstances at all.
And one of the things that I've seen that has been really effective as well is that, or at least in my experience, is being able to like task it out to someone else, right? So you see if there's somebody, so if there is an aunt or an uncle that they have like a really strong connection with that wouldn't mind taking that short time with them so that they can try and get it going. And so I had one person who commented, a parent that had commented and said, okay, but I'm rewarding them for bad behavior. No, it's about that connection. Like, you're not the teacher, and you shouldn't have to be the teacher. And unfortunately, that's just where we are. And so being able to have somebody else that can like enlighten it and make things a little bit less challenging makes all the difference. And so I had one little girl that came, she's a friend of the family's as well. And so mom could not get this kid to do her work. She was struggling. She was falling behind, and a brilliant child. So it's not even like the child couldn't get the work done. It was just like, I don't want to do this. And so she would come to work with me. And so Mom would drop her off, and so she would do work, I would do school. I would do school, and no, let's do this again. She was doing school, I was doing work, and so then it's like, no, this is work time. So I have to work, I have to show up, and I have to do the things that I need to be doing. You're going to need to, and like literally, she sat beside me at my desk, and so we set everything up for her so that she was working literally right beside me. And then as the week had progressed, then she actually ended up being in her own space. So she was at her own desk. She was doing, because we have other spaces that she was able to use because we were shut down anyway. So it wasn't like anybody else was using the space. So she had her own. She would actually come in the morning, and she would do her. She would go to her desk and she would do the work. She would sign into class. She was getting all the work done. And so by the end of the week, she had already caught up on all the things that she needed to. And, but it was like, and so just having someone else where they can actually say, because she's not going to challenge me the same way she's going to challenge her mom.
No.
Right. So she can challenge me a little bit, but I'm going to be able to give a little bit more pushback, and she's going to be like, oh, okay, this is not my mom, right? So I'm going to do the things that I need to be doing. And she did. And then from that point on, because she was no longer overwhelmed, because that was one of the other issues, is being overwhelmed of being behind. And so then from that point on, she was able to move forward. So if you have somebody else that you can reach out to and say, hey, I just need a hand. And even if it's only a couple of times a week, that would be better than not having any at all. Right. So sounds like the children are going back to school on Monday, from what I understand, but they haven't made a formal announcement. These are the leaked information that has been shared. So hopefully the parents don't have much longer to try and push through. But
again, or if there is any way of asking for help, ask for it. And as you say, we're parents, we're not their teachers, and our house is our home. It's not where they do work. So there is always going to be that. Whereas, like bringing her out of the house with somebody different who she knew she couldn't challenge, in her mind that, she had her own desk. So it was a complete removal. So hopefully your children will be going back. But if you do, maybe try and make their own sort of desk space somewhere where they know they can go to. And it's not the same. But
this is my class time.
Yeah. And it's like you go here to work, and then you can go to this room, and but just explaining to them that you understand that it's not school, and that this is still their home and they're still safe, but this is just what we've got to do at the moment. Just constant reassurance, and that's all we can do, is our best.
Absolutely. And that's all that they can do, is their best. And that's, I think, one of the things that's important for us to be able to remember as well, is these little bodies and these little minds are still trying to figure out and sort out, from like wee little to teens, and they're still trying to figure it out. We can't figure it out. So us expecting them to figure it out is not necessarily going to be the easiest for them either. So
no. It's a trying time for everybody.
Definitely is. So thank you so much for joining us this morning, Cassie. And I know that you are off to go get your little people from school. So Cassie is way late in the afternoon for her, whereas we are way early in the morning. So thank you again for joining us. I'd love to be able to have another conversation with you. And so this has been fabulous. So thanks very much. And if anybody has any questions, please reach out to Cassie, and she would be more than happy to redirect you or to assist you in whichever way that she feels that would be the most beneficial.
100%. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, everyone. And I will see you again next week for Chatting with Wisdom.